100.1 K261EW, Carrington. Locally owned and operated by I3G Media.
It's time to find out what's going on in Carrington Cardinals athletics on the Carrington Coaches Show on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. The Carrington Coaches Show takes you behind the scenes of all things Cardinal athletics. Now, live from the Prairie Inn in Carrington, here is BJ Walters.
It's literally a party in here tonight. The Carrington Coaches Show. You see what happens when you invite Coach Bickett and Josh Bickett to your show? All of a sudden, everybody shows up. It's the Carrington Coaches Show here from Prairie Inn Restaurant and Bakery on KDAK, the Cardinal, the mobile app, your smart speaker, and on YouTube. Tonight, it is the off day of the Region 2 tournament, and the night before the Cardinal girls play for the Region 2 championship. So coming up later, we'll have head coach Andy Broughton joining us. We'll also have a wrap-up of the wrestling seasons with boys head coach Josh Kerbaugh, along with Corbin Clifton, and girls coach Mark Pasternak. But the aforementioned Coach Todd Bickett and Josh Bickett are with us. I mean, Coach, if you'd have told me we could get a crowd like this every time you showed up, I would have invited you a lot more often.
Well, it's almost like a family reunion around here for me. It's all
Yeah.
my cousins, my aunt and uncle. Man, this is fun.
It's a
Nice
birthday
work. I don't know how
party.
you planned this.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of strange how we planned this. Whose birthday is it?
Let me think about this. I wasn't invited to the parties. I'm not sure. There's so many little kids around here too. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yep. So, Josh, a couple of weeks ago, Lisbon, you get your 1,000th point against the Broncos. We'll get to, the feeling within the game and surprisingly how your dad kind of found out in the midst of it. But 1,000 points. Is that something that is a goal when you start playing high school basketball?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just watching Garrett, he's the all-time leading scorer in Carrington. So watching him grow up and hit that 1,000-point milestone was a really big goal of mine, and I was really excited when I hit that.
All right, you have the best memory of anybody that I know currently. Take me through point number one.
Yeah, so I remember it was my freshman year, first game of the year against New Rockford at home, and I played 3 quarters JV, so I sat the first quarter and then I started the second and got the ball on the sideline out of bounds, and I don't remember. I think it was Hudson just set a pick for me at the top and came off, hit a pull-up jumper from the elbow, and yeah, that was it.
No wonder New Rockford is so thrilled that you're graduating in a couple of months. So, Coach, want to come to you because you knew he was approaching it, but you thought it would work out perfect that it would happen on senior night. And then to give people an idea of just how locked in our coaching staff is, it was actually a shock to you to find out that it had happened.
Well, it's sort of a shock to me. So I've been tasked with keeping track of the points pretty much all year. It was something that Coach Otto had told me, make sure that we're on top of this in case it happens, when it happens, whatever. So after the first of the year, I had kept a running total game by game. And so, as fate would have it, it was working out. We were getting close to Harvey senior night at home, and Josh needed 29 to get to the 1,000-point mark. Now, the other thing about this is I kept it basically between myself and the coaches. Josh had no idea exactly where he was. I think he knew he was like approaching, but he didn't really know where it was at. So anyway, like I said, okay, so we're 29 shy, and I'm thinking, okay, career high at this point is 28, so we should be safe and get to senior night, a home game, and then we'll really be ready to celebrate. So first quarter, first possession of the game, Josh comes off a screen, catches a pass in the corner, and just drains a three. For those of you that didn't get to see the game, just he went up, elevated, and just ripped a three. And I thought, man, that looked pretty good. He looked pretty comfortable with that one. And so the first quarter goes on. His next score was to end the quarter. He went to the free throw line and made 2 free throws. So he had 5 at the end of the first quarter. I'm thinking, okay, that's as far as the scoring goes. I'm thinking, right, this is going to work out perfect. 5 a quarter gets him 20, which gives us a chance to win this game. So this is going well. And at that point, Josh decided that it was time for him to take over. And yeah, I mean, he was really good offensively that night. And so then we get to the second half, and there's a crowd there. I had some family there. Josh's brother Garrett was in the crowd. My brother-in-law, who this is a funny story too. When he walked in the gym, he goes, "Hey, maybe I get to see something special tonight." And I looked at him and I said, "Jay, Josh's career high is 28. He needs 29, and I don't think it's happening tonight." He's like, "Well, you never know." Yeah. So then we get into the second half, and we're sitting on the bench, and the game is tight, and it's back and forth. And pretty soon I hear Garrett yelling at me from the crowd, and I'm like, "What?" So I turn around, and he goes, "Josh just scored his 1,000th." And I'm like, "No, Garrett, he needs 29." And he goes, "Yeah, he's at 30 right now." So I went over to the scores table, and I was kind of looking through the book, and the home guy, their AD or whatever, he goes, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I need to know how many points he's got." And he goes, "He's at 33 right now." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Is there a problem?" I said, "No, he needed 29 to get to 1,000." He goes, "Oh, can I announce it?" I said, "Sure, yeah, go ahead and announce it." So it took me by surprise. It was a good night, and they gave us the ball there, so we've got that, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, but hey,
Yeah,
gave it the old college try.
that's right. So, Josh, I know how intense you are in a game. Like, you're focused. You're trying to basically, if you have to take over, so be it. You'll take over. You'll win the game. It doesn't matter. Did you have any idea?
No, honestly, well, because I didn't know how many I was away, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I mean, my dad asked me, he's like, "Do you really want to know?" And I was like, "I mean, not really, just because I just want to play the game, and if I get it, I get it." So I was just really in the flow of the game that day, and I had no idea how many points I had at the time, and I just I just kept shooting. I was feeling really good that day.
Yeah, you certainly were. Career high 33, and who knows if that'll be the final career high. There's still games on the schedule, so who knows? Um, what have you made of this season? I mean, I think late in the year we can start to see that some of these young guys, they get a little stronger. They're going to be pretty good. What about what you're seeing from your teammates?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been a good season, especially compared to last year. I mean, it was just 10 times better than last year. So it's been really fun. We have a really fun group of guys. So um, there's been lots of improvement to it. I mean, our schedule just keeps getting tougher and tougher. So it's hard to see that with like our schedule that we have right now, but we are improving.
You mentioned the schedule. You've got 2 regular season games left. Grafton, who was preseason top 5, haven't quite lived up to it. And Devils Lake, who just lost for the first time. It was to Kindred. Kindred also has a loss. Maybe a loss isn't such a bad thing for the Firebirds, but what do you make of these last 2? I mean, good stern tests.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, two very, very good teams. We're gonna have to be ready to play for both of them. Friday we're getting prepared for that one this whole week of practice, and we got to come ready to play, and I think we got a shot. And Devils Lake, we just got to come out, and have fun. Last regular season game, it's probably gonna be their senior night, so try and make some noise there.
Coach, for you, we've talked about this in football. There's the dad side, there's the coach side. So just from a strictly coaching standpoint, this guy does so many things well on the court. He can use the bounce, he's catch and shoot, he can get his own shot off the dribble. If you were an opposing coach, what would the scouting report be on this guy?
Uh, well, I don't want to give up my scouting report on him, but I do have a couple of tendencies that I know he has that if I was coaching against us, I could exploit him. I think if I was defending Josh, I could hold him to probably a handful of points myself just because of the tendencies.
Uh oh.
Well, okay, maybe not, but no, he does have a couple things that I'm aware of that I know he does. But other than that, hey, we've already touched on it: scoring, rebounding, assists. I mean, he pretty much does everything that you ask the kid to do, and he's a smart player, and so from the coaching side, it's been he's really fun to coach.
How similar is his game to Garrett?
Well, it's pretty similar. Garrett was flat out scorer. I mean, when he got the basketball in his hands, he was going to beat you to the basket, or he was going to shoot over you and knock down a shot. Josh is a little bit different in that he likes to involve his teammates more. So he'll pick and roll and dish, or um, find the open guy on a fast break where Garrett might have just put his head down and tried to get to the rack. So in that respect, they are a little different. But I tell you what, Josh's skills as far as handling the ball and getting his teammates involved, pretty impressive. And Garrett could flat out score.
All right, Josh. As your dad was saying that he could slow you down, I saw the head shaking, so I have to ask. And I feel kind of bad because Garrett's not here to shake his head, but who wins the backyard game?
I'm beating Garrett now. For sure. Yep. I mean, we obviously played a lot growing up and never beat him then, but I'm beating him now.
Now, how would you go about beating him?
You know, see, playing one-on-one with Garrett is really hard because, like my dad said, he literally he's a scorer. Like he'll do anything to score on you. So I just have to play it pretty physical with him, I think.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
and coach says that would be the difference. So there you go. Well, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Friday night, 6:45, right here on the Cardinal, as Carrington takes on Grafton, and then Monday a little bit later, 7:15 airtime, as the Cardinals take on Devil's Lake, and then it's postseason time. So, guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Yeah. Thanks, BJ.
That is assistant coach Todd Bickett and 1,000-point scorer Josh Bickett. We're going to take a break here on the Carrington Coaches Show. When we come back, Kyle Hewitt steps in, and he's got boys wrestling head coach Josh Kerbaugh and senior Corbin Clifton. And we've got that coming when the Carrington Coaches Show continues in a moment.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected.
the other senior that you'll lose next year, Max Chuboteriano. Some pretty good seniors that have had a lot of varsity time. So, again, what's it look like to try to fill in the spots for some of these guys next year?
Well, that's an interesting question because you never know on the growth of everyone, how they're over the summer and fall, and you just want them to get as big as possible and strong as possible in the off season, get ready for football, whatever sport they're going to be playing. You also lost a heavyweight that was injured all year, um, Brody Weisenberger, who was a sixth placer last year. So there's some points left on the table there. We had Jaden Broadwell who was injured as well all season. Um, I think he did a lot of good work in the off season to come prepare himself, but we'll have to see. Doctor appointment by doctor appointment how he is coming back. But yeah, we got a lot of young guys, a lot of young talent coming in, but it still takes time. It takes experience in order to see those results. And sometimes they're instantaneous, depending on how much or how good they are and their experience background, and sometimes it just takes a little bit longer.
You mentioned Brody, and we've mentioned that several times this year. I believe when it came to Brody, of the returning heavyweights this year, he finished sixth last year, and he had beaten every one of those heavyweights, I believe, minus Okeson of Bishop Ryan. So he legitimately had a chance maybe to make the finals.
Yeah, and that's a lot of team points. You got that right.
Yeah, and then as you said, down at Broadwell probably would have been around that 27 mark with a little more experience. So, yeah, it's kind of the nature of the beast with wrestling. Unfortunately, that's part of it sometimes. And speaking of that, the guy sitting right here to my left, he got to experience a little of that injury bug as he got a late start this year. Corbin Clifton, he was a state champion last year. I want to make sure at 145 a year ago, and ended up in third place this year in the state tournament. Lost to the eventual state champion Cole Stock of South Border in the state semifinals, and Stock went on to actually won the title match pretty handily, if I remember right, about 9-4 or something like that, 9-3. But overall, Corbin, congrats on a great career. And we talked to you a little bit about this at the state tournament. Obviously, the state title, you can never take that away. And this year, started the year off and got a late start due to injury. And what did you think about the overall success for the team and you individually this year?
I was pretty impressed with how young our team was, just because injuries and having open weight classes, and then yeah, we won the region and then made it to state. Little disappointed against South Border in the beginning, but they did end up winning, so kind of yeah. And then I don't know, I was pretty impressed with just what they did, finishing seventh.
Yeah, when on your individual side, the state title last year, I asked you this at the state tournament when you were on the air, and I know talking with your dad and older brother a few years ago, you guys kind of don't really look at big matches, but I brought the question up. Besides the state title, can you think of some other kind of real big matches in your career that just kind of stood out a little bit, or was like, hey, I know I can wrestle with some of the top guys?
Mm, no, there isn't very many. Probably the only one that I can think of is my sophomore year at the Rotary in Bismarck. I think it was the quarters against Coy Grebel, and the match was tied 4-4 at the end of the first period. I was kind of pleased with that, but then he ran away after that. So
Yeah, but you had him, and that's the same Coy Grable from Valley City that just won the Mr. Wrestler in the Class A side. Is that correct?
he graduated a couple
Oh,
years
that
ago.
was okay. This is
Yep.
Colton. This is Colton, his younger brother. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to play ball with their dad many years ago, so I kind of know that family. So I get them mixed up a little bit, but yeah, that's a pretty good wrestling family as well. Um, we asked you at the state tournament. I'll ask you again the future plans for Corbin. I believe you said you're off to Bismarck State. Is that correct?
Yep.
And the future plans will be.
I'm gonna take up agronomy, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna wrestle there or not yet.
And for those of you that aren't aware, Bismarck State is bringing back wrestling, and from what we gather is that they're going to turn back into a 4-year program, I believe, and go into the NAIA is what I've kind of heard. Is if that's the realm they're going, so they might be at the JUCO level for another few years, but But I guess we'll just say best of luck in the future to you, Corbin. And it's been fun watching you over the last several years. And one thing, as we said at the state tournament, the junior year, the state title, they can't take it away. So once a champ, always a champ, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Now, the only thing I could add to that, older brother Michael might have bragging rights yet.
Yeah, he does. I was kind of
Oh,
hoping to tie him up, but oh well.
does he bring it up at all? Has it
No.
not yet? Okay. Just wait for those Christmas dinners and turkey dinners down the road. It'll get brought up.
Yeah, I'm kind of dreading that.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll go back to Coach Kerbaugh. Coach, I can't remember we talked about this. The number of years now coming back next year, you got about.
See, I came in like 2011, 12 year that season.
I'm just going to kind of run down some of the guys I got in the top of my head here real quick. Kirby Freeman, Charlie Jorgensen, I think is it William Jorgensen? Is he another one? Those are kind of the bigger weights.
Jacob
Heinrichs will be coming back up there as well. And then some of the younger guys. I keep hearing about these younger guys, like 8th grade class, is it 6th and 8th grade that are coming up that have some pretty good kids. So if there's any other ones, I can think of some of the lower weights. You got the Walskis down lower. The Kramliks are both coming back next year as well. Gabe Clifton coming back. And we got, I'm not sure where Landon. Where's Landon at?
He's about 90, mid 90s, I think, on his weight. He'll be a 7th grader. There's this
English.
And Michael Vandehoven is also be a 7th grader. But yeah, there's a slew of guys that are 107 pounds and under. Yeah, you just said Gabe English, Sky Cromlick's brother Ridge, Mason Cook. You got Chase Stedman. Yeah, you got quite a few, and they're all good. They're all pretty good.
That's kind of the.
We just got to spread them out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Some of them got to hit a growth spurt and hopefully get them all spread out across the different weight classes coming up next year. If you look ahead to next year, I know it's always kind of one of those things we just finished up, but when you look ahead to some of these other teams coming back, what's it looking like across the state on the Class B side?
This is a strong senior class, statewide Class B. There's a lot of people graduating. Look at a lot of the top teams. We're looking at 3 to 5 guys, seniors classes that were graduating. So where they're going to end up weight wise is going to be hard to say. But yeah, I think there's going to some teams, even the teams that surprised me have some seniors. So I don't know. We'll have to look into that a little bit later.
This is one I know it's kind of a little bit of salt in the wound a little bit to this one, but we talked about Lisbon this year not having a guy in the finals.
Yeah.
And we didn't know when the last time Lisbon didn't have a guy in the finals. We tracked Carrington back to 2008, so it had been 17 years the last time we did not have a guy in the finals, so we've been very spoiled over the years. And so it's kind of a crazy stat, though, when you think Carrington and Lisbon combined this year didn't put a guy in the finals. And I wonder when the last time I don't know if it's ever happened since these two teams have been Class B together. That's a crazy stat to think about.
Yeah, you probably have to do some deep diving into the books for that one.
Yeah, it was just something we thought about when we were there, and it was like, holy cow, neither Lisbon or Carrington. We just kind of brought it up, but it was a fun year though, nonetheless. And again, I'm going to let you guys go here. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Corbin, best of luck in the future to you. And Josh, we'll be talking at you again next year, I'm sure.
Yep. Thanks again, Kyle, for having us, and keep doing a good job.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Corbin. And we'll send it back to the studio. We'll take a couple of minute time out here, and we'll return with more. We'll have Coach Mark Pazernick and the Carrington head girls coach, and we'll talk a little girls wrestling here before we sign it back to BJ and head coach Andy Broughton of the Carrington girls. We'll return right after this.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Visit your local Arrowwood Prairie Co-op in Carrington, Wimbledon, Cooperstown, and Sutton. Parents and sports fans want to stay on top of all the local action? Catch what you missed by checking out the Foster County Independent. From game-changing plays to memorable moments, we've got you covered with the most in-depth sports coverage in town. And don't miss our stunning photo galleries that capture every thrilling moment and winning smile. For the latest scores, stories, and stunning sports shots, grab your copy of the Foster County Independent today or visit us online at fosterconews.com.
Do you want to make sure homework time isn't spent on games and video streaming? Dakota Central can help. With Experience IQ, you set limits to ensure your kids aren't playing when they should be doing homework. With premium managed Wi-Fi from Dakota Central, you can create healthier internet habits for your children from the easy-to-use Command IQ app. Learn more about premium Wi-Fi and Experience IQ today at www.dakotacentral.com.
Effortlessly manage your farm fertility with Verify. Verify takes yield data directly from your combine and instantly generates variable rate fertility maps based on your nutritional goals. Whether it's building soil, balancing nutrition, or maintaining fertility. And with full integration with John Deere Operations Center, Verify can send recommendations directly to application equipment, no matter the color. For more information on Verify, talk to your hefty agronomist and keep your farm moving.
When you're thinking about insurance, think of Bickett Insurance. Bickett Insurance, through our partnership with Auto Owners Insurance, can take care of your farm, home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. The agents at Bickett Insurance have over 115 years of insurance experience. We know how to design policies to protect the things important to you. Give Bickett Insurance a call today.
There's no community like a Cenex community. That's why every Cenex store is proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Visit your local Arrowwood Prairie Co-op in Carrington, Wimbledon, Cooperstown, and Sutton.
Sports fans want to stay on top of all the local action? Catch what you missed by checking out the Foster County Independent. From game-changing plays to memorable moments, we've got you covered with the most in-depth sports coverage in town. And don't miss our stunning photo galleries that capture every thrilling moment and winning smile. For the latest scores, stories, and stunning sports shots, grab your copy of the Foster County Independent today or visit us online at fosterconews.com.
And once again, welcome back here to the Prairie Inn Restaurant and Bakery. And joining us now is head girls wrestling coach Mark Pazernick. And coach, first of all, congrats finishing up another season and a couple of Cardinal girls placing, actually a couple of semifinalists, kind of the same boat with the boys. 5 total representatives, and unfortunately we got a donut in that round, but Jasmine Ybarra at 136 came back to get third, and Kendra Garcia finished up in 4th place. So a couple of placers, and still got some young kids coming back here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we ended up having 2 semifinalists with Jasmine first, and she wrestled a really good match. We lost 1-0. We didn't take a whole lot of shots. We had to keep it close, to get into the 3rd period, and we wrestled her a couple times already and took some bad shots, and she scored on us and lost 6-0, 7-0. And she ended up getting away from us in the 2nd period. We tried to get away in the 3rd period, and we just never got away. Lost 1-0. Sometimes, people wonder why we don't shoot, and it's all about being strategic for the most part. If you don't have a good shot and can't find the right angle, I think you got a better chance to win down 1-0 than 6-0 at the end.
Yeah, and the girl that Mark's talking about is Kaylee Kurz from Grand Forks, and Jasmine lost her 10-2 in the regional finals. I believe, yeah, it was the regional finals.
Yep.
So then she turned around and lost to her 1-0 in the state semifinals. And honestly, Mark, when we went into that match, in the back of my mind, it's like, holy cow, this is going to be a tough one here. And she was, literally, she's a takedown away from winning that
Yeah,
match.
exactly. And, even if we get that escape, obviously we still gotta go in overtime and get the takedown, and there we probably obviously take a shot and take our chances. But yeah, like I said, you kind of have to have a strategic plan against some people. Like, yeah, sometimes you go out and shoot a lot, but sometimes you try to keep it close to try to win it at the end. Because if we go down 3-0, 6-0, that means we need two or three or four takedowns to win it. So, but tip my hat to Jasmine. She came back to take third. Had to wrestle two really tough girls in the Consi semis. Travis Lamar's daughter, Gracie. We beat her, and then we beat Schwab from Lisbon, who are two really quality girls. So
And Grace Lamar win, that was and that she actually won that one way more convincingly. They went to the ultimate tiebreaker, I think, at the regional tournament in the semifinals. Is
yeah,
that
and
right?
there's been a couple of them that it's been really close for the most part. Yeah. With that one, yeah, we I don't know if you can remember the match, but Gracie shot in on us and we stumbled, almost got taken down, and at the last second that Grace stumbled and went to her stomach, and we were able to do a go behind and get a takedown, and then we were kind of in cruise control for a little while. So, but
And then yep, Kendra Garcia, who finished in fourth. Kendra was the one seed coming in, and unfortunately for Kendra in the semifinal, she had a 10-4 lead going into the third period, or in the third period, and ultimately ended up getting into a pinning combination on the wrong end of it.
yeah, if we go back to the regional tournament, I had several girls that were sick in that weekend, and Kendra was one of them. Coming back on Monday before the state tournament, of the nine girls that qualified, I only had four in practice, five were sick, and Kendra was still sick, and you could see that. The first two rounds, Kendra ended up pinning her girl in the first or second period, so she got to save a lot of energy. Yeah, we took the Kenmare Michael girl down right away and put her on her back. We're up 7-0. But by the time we got to the third period, we could tell we were running out of gas because of her being sick. And then we got turned on her back. I think we might have got cradled and got pinned. But she barely got off the mat. I don't know if you could see that. She just crawled off and she sat by the mat for about 10, 15 minutes because she was totally drained. But yeah, you could tell the sickness. Healthy Kendra, she gets to the finals, and we had already beaten the Jamestown girl in the Bismarck Rotary. I don't know if we win it, but we give her a good match. But a healthy Kendra definitely would have been higher on the podium if the sickness hadn't set in. So,
And you got Kendra coming back along with several others. Just the other senior, Jasmine Ybarra, senior, and then the other senior, Kendall Kovar. Unfortunately, didn't get out of the regional tournament, but those two will be missed quite a bit.
yeah, be missed with their wrestling, but probably more so because of their leadership. They're just really good with the other girls. Those other girls really looked up to her, looked up to both of those, and they were just good leaders. Back to Kendall, she was seeded sixth at the tournament. She won her first round match and went against the third place gal, and then to get in the second round of wrestlebacks, the fourth seed got upseed in the first round. So that's where Kendall had to take on, was the fourth seed, and is a really good girl, and just did not make it out of the regions with that. If that upset doesn't happen, Kendall goes back to the state tournament and maybe has a chance to place along the line. So, but yeah, those are the two seniors for the most part on the team. So,
And then you'll have to help me out with some of the other girls at the state tournament. I'm gonna start at the top and work my way
okay,
back. Jillian Parker, she'll return next year. She
correct.
was at 190 this
Yep,
year. At 150 or 170 was Nevaeh Sorensen.
correct.
And then we had Madalena Chuoteriano at the state. She was at 148.
148, and she was another one that was under the weather at the state tournament, and
Okay.
I liked really where she was at. If she was healthy, I really see her being on the podium, and just like I said, you got to have everything clicking at the end of the year, and
Yeah.
so yep, Madalena would be the third girl.
I'm going to skip down a little bit. I'm going to
Yep,
go back to the lower ones. Grace English, I believe, at 100 pounds will be back next
yep,
year. Obviously, she's
correct,
only a seventh grader.
correct,
And then we'll have Juliet Davis. She actually won a match at the state tournament at
correct.
112.
One in between there was Asa Reimke. She was a qualifier of 106,
Yep.
and then I think that.
Was that all of them
Yep,
for the
yep.
girls?
There,
Okay.
there would have been nine of them, and then there's four or five other ones that are returning that did not make it to state. So,
So you
But
get to the off season now. You start looking at trying to build up that practice room with more kids for next year.
yeah, and the problem is that looking into the sixth grade, there's not a lot of girls that are wrestling right now, so the number is probably not going to increase a whole lot. Where the numbers got to increase is some other girls in the probably the grade 7 through 11th this year that decide to come out. We know we've had a couple girls come out in the past and then didn't come out the following year, so we hope to get our numbers up there. Where we really suffer is our numbers in the upper weights for the most part. Just not a lot of girls in our school that want to wrestle in those upper weights, and that's across the board of the state tournament. I think like 170, 190 in heavyweight, probably respectively. There's probably only like 22, 23 girls in each of those weight classes. In heavyweight, I think there was only 18 or 19
in the whole state.
In the whole state, yeah. So it's not it's not one of those that a lot of girls want to get involved with that, but probably going forward, hopefully that number will increase. And one way it'll increase is more schools adding girls wrestling to the Class B schools. Most Class A schools have it. And then just other teams increasing their numbers for the most part.
And I think the popularity right now, I've heard statistically that girls wrestling is the fastest growing sport in America right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if it still is, but it was one of the top one or two a couple years ago because most states have it. There's probably still another 10 states that haven't added, but yeah, and I think South Dakota had it maybe a year before we did, and they said after the second or third year it kind of plateaued, but I don't see that necessarily happening in North Dakota just because I think like some of those smaller Class B teams that only have three or four, they add one or two the next year, it's five or six, and and there's several teams that have added wrestling too in the last couple of years that traditionally have boys teams but have never had a girl. So I continue seeing that going up, and we did our overall number I think in the state was up drastically from the year before. So
and then if you go to the next level, you're starting to see more college teams bring it on, which can make that interest in the competitiveness.
correct. So in the state before, Jamestown's had women's wrestling for many many years. I don't know if they're going on 10 years probably. They've had the NAI nationals down in Jamestown the last 3 years, and then last year Minot and Dickinson State did add wrestling. So that's it's a good asset for those girls to go out there and showcase their talents. And the only difference with the colleges, it is freestyle. It is what the Olympics is. A little bit different than high school or folk style, but yeah, it's definitely honestly, if you wanted to get an academic scholar or athletic scholarship in sports for women, wrestling probably the ticket right now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what they have for weight classes. Is it 11 or 12 at the?
I don't even know, but I know the top weight class is only like 195 pounds, 192 pounds, or maybe I take it back. Maybe it's at 205, something like that. I think it's 205, 210. So that's been the argument of like why isn't there a bigger weight class? But yeah, I'm not quite sure what the weight classes are and how many there are. So,
I went over to Jamestown a couple of years ago and we did a remote over there and we talked with some of the kids and some of the folks that were associated with that NEI tournament a few years ago, and that was a fun atmosphere. And they did it at the Newman Center, which is a great atmosphere for that.
There's not a bad seat in that house.
No, and it's I think it's a great place, and all the people that we spoke to that day they loved it. They thought the atmosphere there was incredible for that.
Well, that's good because I mean you're coming from down south and all over and coming all the way up to the northern part of North Dakota. And they've had did it get canceled because of
COVID? Yes,
and maybe was there a snowstorm one time too? I can't remember.
I believe there was that hindered a lot of it. So yeah, you just never know what you're going to get up here with weather. So
well, you would think in March it would be long gone, but sometimes you just don't know. So, but yeah.
So you look across the landscape of some of these teams, and I know it's been kind of a topic already. When you start looking at some of these bigger Class A schools, have you heard any rumblings of trying to split off to be in the A yet?
Yeah, so I made a couple suggestions at our regional meeting that the individual probably isn't ready to break ways. We just talked about the upper weight classes that there isn't enough girls around to have two different classes, but probably in all fairness, and we voted on it, is to keep two almost different running totals for Class A and Class B schools on the individual side, or at least give the top one or two or three teams a trophy. junior college wrestling. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do it. They used to do two team scores, and I don't know if they actually gave trophies, but they split it of non-scholarship athletes and scholarship athletes. Um, and so that's kind of what I suggested because there could be a state champion for Class B and a Class A with the same bracket. But the duels was brought up a little bit, but the problem with that is there isn't enough West Class B schools that have enough kids to make a dual team.
Now, I'm going to try to throw this into a little bit of perspective so people understand what we're going up against to a certain degree. Grand Forks United, or West Fargo United, it's Grand Forks. So Grand Forks actually, that is a combination of every Grand Forks school plus East Grand Forks.
Yeah, that's on the
That
other
is-
side of the other side of the river too. So
So that's what they pick from for one girls wrestling team. Now you go to Fargo, you have the Fargo Stingers and you have West Fargo United. So you have the entire Fargo Moorhead populate, not Moorhead, I guess, but the
Right.
Fargo West Fargo into two girls wrestling teams. Now Bismarck is a wrestling town to start with,
right.
and you've got Bismarck Legacy and you've got Bismarck High and Bismarck Sentry, I
Correct.
believe right now.
Yep. And Bismarck St. Mary's, I think those girls go over to Bismarck Legacy. But
So
yeah, so go back to Fargo. You got Fargo North, Fargo South, Fargo Davies. Okay.
Yep.
And then West Fargo is West Fargo Cheyenne, West Fargo Packers, and then the new Class A school, West Fargo Horace.
You miss Shanley and Oak Grove.
Well, and I don't know if there's any girls from there or not.
I
I'm
don't
not
either.
sure.
I don't know either.
But you go back to West Fargo Cheyenne. I believe they are
Yeah.
the biggest high school in North Dakota now,
Yes.
and they probably have 3 middle schools in there.
Correct. Yes.
So we're talking about possibly, and I may be off with numbers, but maybe like 2,500 girls to pick from, 7 through 12, and I have 160 to pick from.
Yes.
Now, I shouldn't gripe too much because when I talked to Coach Weigel from Napoleon, he's got 44 girls to pick from.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And he's got quite a few out.
And he does.
Yes.
It's just not. There's got to be something done. And my thing was that okay, they want us to Class B to grow. How can you get it to grow? Maybe split the state tournament, the individual part into two different team races, the same, everybody wrestles in the one, or go back to the Class B duels and have a Class B duels and a Class A duels. I think you could talk more girls into coming if you say, hey, if you came out, we have a chance to be state champions.
In
What
the
do you think
class,
about that?
yes.
Yep, in a Class B. And I've talked to BJ about this. We shouldn't compete with Bismarck. We shouldn't compete with West Fargo.
It's a tough deal because, as you said, numbers are going to dictate, and when you can practice with 30, 40 kids in a practice room as compared to 15 to 18, it's a big difference.
Well, and it's kind of funny because at the beginning of the year, you can see like all the girls that get body fat, body assessment of each team, and I know Bismarck had every year has almost had over 50 girls start the season. Now they maybe only make a couple practices or whatever, but again, that's more than Napoleon has in their whole high school for girls, or half of what we have, 50.
Yes.
So they dwindle them down to the girls that are left. Well, heck, I'd take 20 girls,
Yes.
25 girls, whatever. So, but yeah, and, and it's a new process, so it's just starting. So, hopefully Kings get, taken care of, and a couple more Class B schools added. So we talk about the West. Williams County had 8 or 9 probably. Harvey's a West team now. They have 9 or 10 girls, and then Stanley had start the year 8 or 9. So hopefully it'll keep growing, and then we possibly could get a Class B duels. But the individual part, I think it'll be a while before we can actually split it. So, but and the competition is better when it's all together.
Yeah.
I know I have friends in Minnesota that really come from North Dakota. You have 2 divisions for wrestling. Why don't you just do one?
Yes.
In California, I don't know if you know
one.
California, it's
Yeah,
one.
right.
Yeah, there isn't 16 kids in a bracket.
Yeah.
There's 24 or 32 or whatever. But if you're a state participant there, you're a stud.
Yes. Yes. So,
well,
Coach, we gotta call this one a night here for now because Coach Broughton's coming up. So again, thanks for joining us here. Fun watching the girls again this year, and best of luck next year. And we'll be talking with you again next year.
And I appreciate your commentating. You did a really good job on there promoting it, and you're fun to listen to. I try to listen to the boys when we're not wrestling or whatever, and you sound excellent on the radio. So
thanks, Mark. And again, that's head coach Mark Pazanek with the Carrington girls. We'll send it back for a couple of Quick announcements here, and we'll be back here with BJ Walters and Andy Broughton, the head girls coach, right after this.
Do you want to make sure homework time isn't spent on games and video streaming? Dakota Central can help. With Experience IQ, you set limits to ensure your kids aren't playing when they should be doing homework. With premium managed Wi-Fi from Dakota Central, you can create healthier internet habits for your children from the easy-to-use Command IQ app. Learn more about premium Wi-Fi and Experience IQ today at www.dakotacentral.com.
Effortlessly manage your farm fertility with Verify. Verify takes yield data directly from your combine and instantly generates variable rate fertility maps based on your nutritional goals. Whether it's building soil, balancing nutrition, or maintaining fertility. And with full integration with John Deere Operations Center, Verify can send recommendations directly to application equipment, no matter the color. For more information on Verify, talk to your hefty agronomist and keep your farm moving.
When you're thinking about insurance, think of Bickett Insurance. Bickett Insurance, through our partnership with Auto Owners Insurance, can take care of your farm, home, auto, business, or life insurance needs. The agents at Bickett Insurance have over 115 years of insurance experience. We know how to design policies to protect the things important to you. Give Bickett Insurance a call today.
Bickett, say, see. Yes. Get see.
Back at Prairie Inn Restaurant and Bakery, the Carrington Coaches Show rolling on here. Don't forget, we've got Carrington boys basketball coming up Friday night from Grafton, 6:45 airtime. But tomorrow night, it is the Region 2 Championship. And before we introduce our next guest, how about we look back at the end of how the semifinal finished? 61-50 Cardinals.
Hands up, get back.
Here comes Sage down the center of the floor. Sage lost it, kicks it, top of the key. A Coling three is a short one. Rebound, Harper Coleman, loose basketball. Mara Johnson's got it, and Carrington can run out the clock. The Cardinals will play in the 2025 Class A Region 2 Championship.
Great job.
They beat Thompson tonight at the Louis Lee Fieldhouse, 61-50. And of course, we're being joined by the head coach of the Cardinals, Andy Broughton. And coach, congratulations. That was a win that must have felt very, very good off of a full week of prep for it. Your girls played awfully well.
Yeah, we did the job on both ends, and it kind of started on the defensive end. We know we had to take a look at number 4, number 10. I mean, they're ballers, Addison, Sage, and Kaya Hurst, and for the most part, we kept them in check. Sage got off early and kind of kept them rolling, but we kept Hurst off the boards where she's really tough. And credit to Harper and Cadence Van Ray and whoever had to rotate in and out of the job on her.
That's something that is probably a little underappreciated from last night. You guys had to do this despite some pretty bad foul difficulty throughout the game.
Yeah, in the second quarter, we kind of rotated our leaders. Isabel and Eden had 2 falls each, so put them in at about that 6-minute mark where some things happened, and they kept themselves away from that third fall, which was huge, and then we could play full tilt going into the last second half.
Harper just gives the starting lineup such a different look. Not only is it not 2 traditional bigs in the offensive sense, but her on-ball defense, especially last night on Kaya Hurst, was just so good.
Yeah, and she improved throughout the B squad year, and we had different rotations throughout the year. So, and Katie does a great job coming off, and she knocked down big shots, big momentum shots, and we were real proud of her game last night. We got to continue to do that because challenges are just going to get bigger.
Tozier, I thought, was uncomfortable. And I thought you could tell because even though she made a couple of them, that's not a player that settles for threes. And she settled for a couple threes.
Yeah, and she can take it off the bounce. But, for the most part, their dribble drive, we did throw a little zone, not a lot, just a couple possessions. And just to, prevent that dribble drive, but then you give up the long three. So kind of pick your poison a little bit with that. But they're so good off the bounce, and they move the ball so well in their man offense. So we're just trying to change it up a little bit and kids did a pretty good job on it. I think Hurst hit it 1-3 against our zone, but other than that, 5 or 6 possessions of zone didn't hurt us at all.
Tate made the point, and I thought he was absolutely right in saying it. Your freshmen just simply, in a game like that, it would be so easy to cave under the pressure of a first playoff game. Your freshmen didn't play anything like freshmen last night.
Well, they're 22 games in, so they're sophomores.
That's right.
They've had a full year of experience, so and of course they haven't seen the regional court, but they've played a lot of ball together for 5-6 years, and they have good chemistry. They know each other's skills pretty well, and they work hard on defense and go get those rebounds. So they do the basics well.
What was so good for you guys offensively in the first half? I mean, you shot 52% before halftime.
Yeah, we were due for that. We went through a stretch of 20s, 20%, and we do put up a lot of shots in practice, and we are good shooters. And some of that is moving the ball. When Katie hit that shot, I thought that tends to relax the whole group, and it kind of did. And then we all kind of pitched in with some different shots. Ran an out of bounds play for Aniston, and she hit a 3 in the corner. And when you get those big bench points like that, it just kind of tells everybody else, hey, we're here.
I know you guys pride yourself on defense. The last step of defense is rebounding. You guys were plus 11 on the backboards last night against a Thompson team that usually takes pretty good care of the backboards.
Yeah, and part of that is making shots. So if you make shots, there's no opportunity for them to gather a lot of rebounds. And then we shot a higher percentage. So if there's a higher percentage shot, there's more opportunities for the defensive boards. And of course, you got to get those second effort offensive boards too, which we did a pretty decent job too.
The head coach of Carrington girls basketball, Andy Broughton, joining us. So tomorrow night it is Devil's Lake. I tell you what, Grafton played an awfully good ball game last night against them. I don't think that final score was necessarily fair to Grafton. I thought it really flattered Devil's Lake a little bit because Grafton played pretty well.
And especially since they had over 30 turnovers, and like 15, 16 in the first half or whatever it was, and stayed tied with them because they hit shots. Devil's Lake had some foul trouble. So just a combination of things. I think Grafton's jug kind of, made Devil's Lake a little hesitant on shooting the ball sometimes, when you run that zone at you. And their size, their size is going to give anybody problems. They have young ladies that are strong up in the post area, and got to guard it.
Turnovers tomorrow night will inevitably happen against Devil's Lake. Is this a game where the number may be less important than the context at which they play?
Well, yeah, that, and not the pick six. Getting a jump ball underneath your own hoop is different than turning the ball over at half court and they go for a layup. So easy baskets. So last couple times point off turnovers. I think we won that battle last time up in Devil's Lake. We surely didn't win that points off turnover battle. So we just got to make clean decisions. Just a lot of read and react. You can run all the press breaker you want against your fellow teammates, but it's hard to simulate what kind of pressure they bring, what kind of size they bring, and athletic ability.
Did a pretty good job against them here. They gave you the wide areas and you took advantage of it. Do you suspect that that's just Devil's Lake and they'll do a lot of the same things, or can you see some adjustments coming?
No, they'll change it up. They run 2-3 presses and all equally well, and they'll change those things up. One thing that gave us issues up there was a kind of a 2/3 score trap, and we kind of practiced it today just to recognize and be available. High post, sneak in there, reverse the ball, and I thought when Thompson went zone last night, we reversed the ball, had some nice looks on the weak side. Boy, if you move the ball, you can make a zone look tough,
You look at Devil's Lake, and the knock on them is they're much better on the break running than they are in the half court set. So when you break down their film, do you guys notice that once they get in the half court set, if they can get it to 13, that's where they would like for it to go?
Yeah, but they got all sorts of options. They, their forwards all can hit from the elbow. They all go left really well, and they all know how to gather from 2 feet from the basket. So we got to be on top of things. If they get too deep on us, we got to get in front of that post player. Of course, 13 can hit the three. Fee can hit the three. Heilman can hit the three. So they got all sorts of options. So we got to be aware of all of them.
The head coach of Carrington girls basketball, Andy Broughton, joining us. All right, let's get away from our tournament for a minute. I don't think anybody saw that coming out in Minot last night with rugby holding South Prairie Max to 31 points. And I made the comment on the air, rugby's program and Carrington's program are both defense first programs, but goodness gracious, hard not to be impressed by what rugby did last night.
Yeah, there might be only one coach in the state that thought that last night, and she probably she coaches the rugby team. So
that's right.
That's where you have to be. And Jen does a great job getting those kids playing hard. And if you can lock down some people and tournament time, things get a little tighter sometimes, and then they handle the ball pretty well and make some free throws, and you can stretch out a game.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, coaches talk about this all the time, and it's easy to go, yeah, that's coach speak, whatever. But the playoffs really are a different animal.
Sure. You got to show up. And we've been on both ends of the spectrum of, going home after a region final or going on after a region final. And you just got to build those kids up to, believe that they can do the job, and win or lose, be gracious, and learn the activities, the sports activities, teaches so many life lessons.
Last thing for you before we wrap it up here. I mean, is there one specific thing? I think I know the answer. Is there one specific thing that is determinative, you think, tomorrow in a win and a loss?
Probably possessions. Things being equal, probably teams are pretty good shooters, both sides. Rebounding wise, I think we did the job both games actually. So if we can take care of the ball, and of course there's going to be turnovers. Both teams had turnovers last game. I mean, we had 28, they had 22. If we can force some of those turnovers and get some easy baskets ourselves, which were hard to come by up in Devil's Lake big time. So yeah, I think possession of the ball, and that'll be the big key going forward.
All right, promise this is the last one. You having fun?
It's always fun. These kids play so hard, and that's what we ask for them. You play hard and you give us good attitude, and then, some of the talent levels that walk into the gym, they vary. Okay, but every day you can come in with good sportsmanship and positive attitude and work hard, and it keeps it even for us. And like I told them after the game last night, can't get too high with the highs, too low with the lows, and we had a good high last night, but score 0-0 tomorrow, so there's no carryovers.
That's right. Well, Coach, we will see you over in Mayville tomorrow night for the Region 2 Championship. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, BJ.
The head coach of Carrington girls basketball, Andy Broughton, joining us. We thank all of our guests, and also Kyle Hewitt. That's Coach Kerbaugh, Coach Pazdernick, as well as Josh Bickett, Todd Bickett, and Corbin Clifton. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock pregame. Tate will join me. It'll be Carrington and Devil's Lake for the Region 2 Championship. Until then, good night from Prairie Inn.
Thank you for joining us for the Carrington Coaches Show, live from the Prairie Inn in Carrington on KDAK The Cardinal and the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. If you missed this or any other Carrington Coaches Show, you can always go back and listen to the KDAK podcast page at newsdakota.com and on the KDAK The Cardinal YouTube page. The proceeding has been a presentation of I3G Media Sports.
The Cardinal is AM 1600 KDA.